That exact same afternoon, Jannik conquered the Indian Wells Desert. An Italian teenager, Kimi Antonelli, captured his maiden Formula One Grand Prix victory over in Shanghai. During his championship speech, the tennis star brought it up, declaring the occasion a monumental triumph for Italian sports. He confessed his massive Formula One obsession, admitting how deeply it moved him watching a fellow young countryman drag their nation back to absolute glory. With those words spoken, he hoisted his hardware and strode away. Fast forward a fortnight to Miami. Reporters probed about his clay prospects and that coveted world #1 spot, prompting a brilliant motorsport analogy. Though familiar with the circuits, he warned that shifting terrain changes everything. He referenced sliding on dirt, yet his true meaning hinted at a far deeper shift. An unprecedented opportunity has suddenly fractured the men's game. Right now, the argument crowning him the superior athlete holds far more explosive weight than any computer algorithm dictates. Pay attention to the singular figure flipping this entire narrative: 2,340. That massive sum represents the exact burden Alcaraz must fiercely protect before stepping foot inside Paris. Reigning supreme in Monte Carlo, holding the crown hostage in Barcelona, a three-time conquering hero across Madrid, plus his twin victories at Roland Garros. Each of these battlegrounds brings the crushing pressure of repeating history. Should the Spaniard completely guard his fortress, the hierarchy survives. But if he stumbles slightly, that hard-earned foundation vanishes. Conversely, the Italian gladiator stands entirely unburdened, guarding practically zero territory throughout this brutal stretch. Sidelined through last spring's dirt battles due to that controversial ban, he owns no trophies to guard, zero scoreboard luggage, and absolutely no haunting ghosts of past campaigns. He crashes into the European swing unleashed, riding the unstoppable tsunami of twin championships and a runner-up finish since January. Armed solely with a ruthless obsession to snatch the sport's ultimate crown, a destiny his relentless dominance and trophy haul have rightfully authorized him to chase. This severe imbalance between protecting and attacking serves as the most critical, explosive metric defining this modern rivalry, yet pundits utterly ignore it while endlessly debating who truly rules the court. The Spaniard boasted a spectacular 17-2 campaign heading into Florida. He hoards 7 majors to his rivals' 4. He holds 15 prestigious crowns against the Italians' 12, wearing the global top seed label. Those facts remain undeniably true. However, the brutal mathematics of these upcoming 6 weeks position the challenger perfectly to survive the gauntlet richer in standings, clutching an elevated status, fueled by the intoxicating adrenaline that rewards hunters instead of the exhausted hunted. Just as Antonelli memorizes Formula One circuits, adapting to dirt is a vastly different war. The red dust invariably brings utter chaos and total unpredictability. I found my groove on dirt last season, yet conquering this ultimate hardcourt showdown remains my immediate obsession. Delivering absolute perfection here carries profound weight for my legacy. Stepping back onto the Miami asphalt after being forced out during the previous campaign brings an immense fire to my soul. Simply battling within this colossal arena fuels my spirit. My ambitions for claiming this particular trophy are incredibly sky-high. I need to validate my own greatness, ensuring I can survive deep into these draws once again. Those words, dropped casually under the Florida media lights, reveal a warrior methodically plotting for a historic collision, fully recognizing his hour of destiny approaches fast. His desperation to dominate Florida stemmed completely from it being the farewell concrete battleground. Craving internal validation for his endurance, he acknowledged the dirt's chaotic nature while leaning heavily on the psychological armor forged during his previous European campaign. Every single syllable exposes an athlete refusing to treat the spring dirt as guaranteed territory, displaying zero arrogance but absolutely zero fear. He views the red dust like a professional racer visualizing a simulated track, eagerly waiting to unleash the machine's maximum horsepower in actual reality. The blueprints are memorized. The Italian's legitimate resume on dirt exposes a stunning truth, one completely buried by the mainstream fairy tale crowning the Spaniard as the ultimate soil master. Before the ban shattered his 2025 momentum, he carved his way to the Paris semifinals, his most spectacular run at that historic venue. He eventually fell to his rival in 4 brutal frames, though the initial 3 periods were an absolute bloodbath before the Spaniard finally escaped. Combining his 2024 and 2025 campaigns, his dirt ledger boasts 32 triumphs and 11 defeats, a 74% success rate, notably trailing his ultimate rival's staggering 85% mastery on the crushed brick. Yet those are hardly the statistics of a man incapable of waging war on dirt. They paint the picture of a phenomenally gifted dirtballer who simply hasn't mirrored his own terrifying hardcourt invincibility yet. A gladiator who, despite suffering completely shattered preparations during the 2025 season, still bulldozed his way into the semifinals of the globe's most prestigious clay spectacle. Analyzing the raw contrast of where both gladiators currently stand, both mentally and physically, provides the next explosive piece of evidence favoring the Italian. The Spaniard practically crawled out of Florida, declaring total exhaustion and a desperate need to recharge his drained soul. Meanwhile, his rival departed the coast as the runner-up, having violently dismantled Medvedev by surviving twin tiebreakers and erasing a terrifying 0-4 climax deficit. Riding a spectacular wave of 17 consecutive victories without bleeding, coupling his desert conquest with November's Paris crown and that brutal Florida run, forging his most terrifying, uninterrupted string of dominance since the 2024 campaign. That heavy, lingering exhaustion simply isn't weighing him down like before. His on-court hours during the Melbourne fortnight were noticeably lighter. Bowing out against Djokovic in the semis spared him that grueling 5-set war Alcaraz endured. Skipping Doha meant touching down at Indian Wells completely revitalized. Stepping into Monte Carlo, his mind and body hit that perfect sweet spot, battle-tested, yet far from running on empty. That Formula One comparison he made actually hits the nail right on the head. Think of a racing prodigy logging endless simulator hours. They hit the tarmac knowing the precise mathematics of every single curve, braking zone, and racing trajectory. Yet, no virtual rig can ever replicate the visceral, bone-rattling feedback of rubber violently biting into asphalt. That incredibly unique, the vibration of a chassis tearing across uncharted terrain at terminal velocity. True mastery over heat and wear demands blood, sweat, and actual miles on the track. This upcoming dirt campaign is his Grand Prix. He already knows the layout. He boasts trophies on the dirt, secured major semi-final appearances, and unleashed utterly breathtaking performances throughout 2025. However, hurtling full throttle toward the world #1 crown through 4 grueling consecutive dirt tournaments, that is entirely uncharted territory. And his incredibly raw confession, openly admitting to the press that predicting the dirt swing is virtually impossible, stands as the single most brutally authentic reality check any competitor has dropped about their upcoming campaign in weeks. A fourth fascinating angle driving his momentum revolves entirely around his rivals and the desperate strategies they deploy against him. One rival remarked post-Miami that facing the Italian felt like battling an utterly flawless, relentless machine. Even the Spanish prodigy openly confessed he covets that lethal two-handed weapon. Medvedev declared the sport desperately requires his presence, praising the profoundly distinct rhythm he injects into elite rivalries. The locker room verdict is absolutely unanimous. The Italian engineers a suffocating nightmare completely distinct from the Spaniard's magic, yet every bit as terrifying. Rivals memorize his playbook inside out. He simply obliterates the yellow fuzz. Relentless accuracy creates unbearable anxiety. The Spaniard thrives on chaotic unpredictability. With his rival, the executioner's strike is telegraphed, yet entirely unavoidable. Both philosophies conquer the grandest stages, yet upon the crushed brick, this sluggish surface grants the calculating machine extra milliseconds to flawlessly execute, while simultaneously exposing the flamboyant shotmaker to the agonizingly chaotic kicks inherent to the dirt. Deciding which tactical philosophy reigns supreme remains a tantalizing mystery, a debate the concrete surfaces never truly force them to definitively answer. The ultimate piece to this complex puzzle remains criminally overlooked by the masses. He has successfully conquered absolutely every single prestigious concrete championship available on the tour. Just as one sharp-eyed observer from Mumbai pointed out post-desert triumph, he stands as the most youthful competitor to ever secure that historic sweep. Melbourne, Flushing Meadows, the year-end championships, alongside all 6,000-level concrete spectacles. The man has literally cleared out the pavement trophy cabinet. Meanwhile, for the Spaniard, this red dirt campaign is a pure survival mission, forcing him to frantically guard over 3,000 ranking points across 4 brutal stops. Conversely, the Italian embarks on an aggressive conquest, hungry to seamlessly bolt dusty trophies onto his fully maxed-out concrete legacy. Conquest always feels mentally breezier than pure survival. A gladiator fighting with 0 chips down and infinite glory ahead swings with a terrifying, unburdened liberation that births absolute magic. Down in Florida, the phenom mentioned needing a desperate system reboot. retreating straight back to his roots in Murcia. He expressed absolute fiery enthusiasm for the impending dusty battlegrounds. He has ruthlessly ruled the dirt for 2 straight cycles, hoarding hardware across Monaco, Catalonia, and Madrid, while storming the Parisian Championship match. He walks into every single venue wearing the heavyweight belt. By all historical metrics, he remains the undeniable king of the dirt. Still, the unique architecture of this upcoming month and a half, the wild ranking math, the glaring contrast in physical burnout, the crushing anxiety of guarding territory against the sheer thrill of the hunt, paired with that inherent dirt court chaos the Italian warned us about, sets the stage for the most thrillingly unpredictable war for world number 1 in modern history. The challenger has memorized the layout. He has logged brutal hours navigating these exact arenas in both sparring and live fire. He anticipates every sharp turn perfectly. However, he has never successfully hijacked that world number 1 crown straight off the Spaniard during the exact stretch where his rival's tyranny reigns supreme. That magnificent showdown officially revs its engines in Monaco on April 6th. Cold algorithmic logic heavily favors the defending champion. But the unforgiving track notoriously loves to completely shred the script. Then there is his chilling psychological makeup, a massive variable completely invisible to any mathematical forecast, yet steadily bubbling to a terrifying boiling point throughout this entire 2026 campaign. That legendary post-match address in the California Badlands perfectly captured his essence, hoisting the championship trophy before a roaring crowd of 20,000 fans. Yet, instead of boasting, he spent his time at the microphone praising a 19-year-old compatriot who had just conquered his maiden Formula One race in Shanghai earlier that day. World standings were completely ignored, and his fiercest rival was never even mentioned. There was zero bragging about becoming the best. Instead, he showered praise on Kimi and the racing world, scrawling a tribute to his friend across the television lens, while his own championship glory was still fresh, revealed a beautifully profound selflessness. Willingly deflecting the brightest spotlight to celebrate another athlete's triumph perfectly defines the 24-year-old phenom who has already captured 4 majors and relentlessly dominated every prestigious, hard-court tournament the sport has to offer. This intense motorsport fascination adds a beautifully eccentric layer to his personal narrative, something mainstream sports media practically ignores. Holding an official ambassador title since late 2023, he regularly haunts the garages and VIP areas, even jumping into virtual driving rigs alongside Kimi Antonelli. He proudly dropped the closing banner at the Abu Dhabi Showdown. He has rubbed shoulders with racing royalty like Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc. No other current professional on the court boasts such an authentic, highly visible relationship with elite racing, brilliantly merging these 2 wildly passionate fan bases. That unique intersection of die-hard motorsport enthusiasts and dedicated racket sports fans, drawn together purely by his magnetic influence, represents a massive demographic boom that tennis officials are quietly reaping rewards from while largely remaining blind to it. He famously admitted that mastering the asphalt is nothing like navigating the brutal terrain of his own sport. The European dirt stretch is his ultimate proving ground. His true battlegrounds are the dusty arenas he has fought in for 3 consecutive years, the distinct crimson dust of Monaco, Spain, and Madrid, behaving radically unlike the burnt orange soil found in Paris. He intimately understands how fiercely the bounce erupts under the blistering Mediterranean sun. He knows the agonizing, lung-burning toll that sliding on crushed brick extracts from an athlete's body, a torturous endurance test totally unmatched by any other environment. Every nuance is tattooed on his soul. He has waged war through it all. Riding the massive momentum of his California Championship and Florida Finals appearance, he enters the dirt swing as the ultimate apex predator instead of a desperate survivor. Transforming from the hungry hunter into the undisputed king creates a deeply intoxicating mental advantage, something that cold, hard statistics and convoluted leaderboard algorithms simply fail to properly measure. Yet it is a thrilling adrenaline rush. An expert racer instantly recognizes the second they slam the throttle on opening day. Carlos, stepping away to completely recharge perfectly, plays into this shifting power dynamic. Hearing the top-ranked superstar publicly confess complete exhaustion and retreat homeward for recovery reveals the raw, unvarnished truth about his brutally depleted mental and muscular reserves right now. That break will absolutely rejuvenate him. History proves it. The Spaniard hits Monaco wearing the reigning crown, armed with a fierce passion for the dirt and a 3-year track record of absolute dominance on the surface that terrifies his peers. However, Stepping onto the court fresh off a vacation creates a vastly different primal energy than rolling in a blaze with pure victory. The Italian phenom lands as a conqueror. His engine is already roaring. There is absolutely zero need to recharge when the battery is already overflowing with power. His only job is to touch down in Monaco and violently tear through the draw. He must simply unleash the exact same lethal magic that secured California, conquered France, and systematically dismantled opponents in 23 of his past 25 brutal firefights. The layout is permanently etched in his mind, the green flag is waving, and one explosive statistic hangs heavily in the air as the dirt battles commence. The Italian trails his Spanish rival by just 4 major titles. At 24, facing a 22-year-old prodigy, stealing the Paris crown in May brutally slashes that haunting deficit down to 3. Snatching the New York trophy come September shrinks the gap to a terrifying 2. Should this European swing play out exactly as his blazing momentum, pristine health, and utterly fearless, pressure-free mindset practically guarantee it will, the raging debate over who truly rules the tennis universe right now will find a definitive, violently clear resolution before the first serve is struck in Paris. The blueprint is entirely mastered, and in exactly 6 days, the ultimate collision finally begins. Claiming the Italian is currently superior isn't some foolish attempt to tear down the Spaniard's undeniable, generation-defining brilliance. We are talking about a 7-time major champion boasting a historical win rate eclipsing even the legendary Roger Federer. He launched this year with an insane 16-match undefeated streak, hoovering up 2 massive trophies before finally bleeding in California and Florida. His greatness is absolute, the terrifying byproduct of an apex predator operating at his absolute peak. Nobody in their right mind believes the Spanish king has lost a single step. The real narrative hinges on the completely unprecedented storm of psychological and physical factors violently colliding around both warriors simultaneously. One man is drowning under the crushing expectation of defending his throne on his absolute favorite battleground. Meanwhile, the challenger strikes from the shadows, physically pristine, entirely unburdened by leaderboard expectations, and rapidly mastering the crushed brick, creating an explosive 6-week window where betting on the world number 2 to conquer the biggest stages is simply the smartest gamble imaginable. He conquered the desert wasteland in 2024, and he ruthlessly reclaimed that exact same crown in 2026. Claiming the 2025 Paris title and conquering the ultimate match in Miami, this 24-year-old phenom stands merely 4 victories away from equaling Alcaraz's major championship haul, a milestone the Spaniard had previously made look utterly unreachable. This man operates like an absolutely flawless machine. When battling on the crushed brick, lingering moments between strikes seamlessly multiply his brilliance during grueling, endless exchanges, making the cyborg comparisons overwhelmingly undeniable. He has mastered the pathways, yet sliding across the dirt changes the battlefield entirely. Those were his exact words. His bold prophecies before Florida proved entirely accurate, and chances are incredibly high his current predictions will also become reality. Which warrior eventually claims ultimate glory on the brutal French courts? Will Carlos Alcaraz or Jannik Sinner reign supreme? Leave your boldest predictions down below. Massive thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.